The accident nobody noticed. Zarya walks through the soft purple grass of her home planet called Viona, where the air is always warm and the sky is never still. She is calm as usual. Her basket is half full with glowing fruits hanging from the tall trees around her. She sings a little tune with no words, just sounds her voice mixing with the wind that flows between the crystal-like leaves. She loves this part of the forest where no one comes, no hunters, no workers, just her and the sound of peace. She smiles as she plucks a round fruit that shines like a small moon and places it carefully into her basket. Suddenly, the ground under her feet shakes just a little, not enough to make her fall, but enough to make her eyes open wide. She looks up to the sky and sees a strange flash, a long tail of light that cuts across the clouds and vanishes behind the far hills. Is not a star. Stars do not fall like that. It is not a bird. Her planet has no birds. It is something else, something metal, something alive. Zarya hides behind a tree. Her heart beats fast. She waits and listens. Then she hears it, a dull boom in the distance, like a giant stepping on soft ground. The trees shake again, just once, then all is quiet again. She picks up her basket and starts walking toward the smoke rising in the distance. Her legs move on their own, even when her mind tells her to stop. She moves slowly, carefully. The forest seems to whisper around her, as if watching. After a while she sees it, a broken thing half buried in the earth, silver and black and steaming with heat, wires hanging out like vines from its open side. Lights blinking red and blue and green. Something strange sits inside a box like a heart made of light. Zarya steps closer. Her fingers itch to touch, but she stops. Something about it feels wrong, not evil, but dangerous, like a storm hiding inside a glass. She turns away but does not notice that the strange light is already touching the trees. Nearby the fruits start to glow brighter, their colors deeper, their shapes rounder. Something is changing quietly, quickly. Later Zarya finds new fruit on a different tree near the crash. It looks like the one she picked earlier, but more perfect. It glows like it wants to be eaten, soft and warm and full of sweet scent. She cannot help herself. She takes a bite. It tastes better than anything she ever ate in her life, warm and cool at the same time. Her whole body feels light for a moment. She closes her eyes and smiles. Then her chest feels tight, a slow pressure like air filling a balloon under her skin. She looks down and gasps. Her coconuts are growing. Not just a little, but a lot rounder, bigger, heavier. She touches them with shaking hands. They are soft but firm, warm like the fruit she just ate. Her face turns hot. Her skin blushes a soft pink shade. She feels strange, not in pain, not in joy, just confused and shy. She tries to hide behind a tree, thinking she is alone. But then she hears a soft buzz in the air, like a bee. No, not a bee, something bigger. A small drone floats above her, its lens blinking like an eye. It makes a small click and Zarya freezes. It is watching her, recording her. Someone far away is looking at her right now. Her heart jumps. She steps back, but the drone follows, moving slow and smooth like a shadow with wings. She throws a small rock at it, but misses. The drone stays just out of reach. Zarya grabs her basket and runs. Her coconuts bounce with every step. She tries to hold them, but it is no use. They are too big, too soft, too new. She hides under a big leaf, panting, her eyes wide. She does not understand what is happening to her, or why this machine is here, or why her body feels like it is not hers anymore. Far above in the human ship orbiting Viona, a screen shows the video feed from the drone. A man with a cold face watches closely. He zooms in and whispers just one word, interesting. Back on the planet, Zarya looks at her hands, then at the glowing fruits around her. Something inside them has changed. Something inside her is still changing. She knows this is not over, and someone out there knows it too. The changes begin. Zarya sits under the wide leaf, her arms crossed around her chest. Her coconuts feel heavy and warm and strange. She cannot stop thinking about the glowing fruit, about the strange metal object, about the eye in the sky that watched her and recorded her and made her feel more exposed than ever before. The air around her feels different, as if the wind knows something she does not, as if the trees are no longer her friends but quiet watchers. She breathes in and out slowly, trying to calm the storm in her heart. but the pressure does not leave, it moves inside. Her like slow fire curling through her chest and shoulders, and even her spine. She closes her eyes and tries to sleep, but every time she drifts away a small tingling pulls her awake again. Her coconuts seem to grow softer round her, fuller like fruit ripening too fast in sunlight. She whispers to herself in her own language, calling for the old forest gods, but the forest does not answer. Morning comes, and Zarya stands and looks around her. The jungle seems brighter, louder, more alive than ever before. The fruit around her pulse with gentle light, the leaves shimmer like glass. And when she moves, she feels as if the ground listens to her steps. She walks back to her hut, slowly, careful with each movement, as her coconuts bounce gently with every step. She wraps a soft cloth around them, trying to keep them steady, trying to make them small again, but the cloth stretches and slides, and she sighs. Without words at the river, she kneels and looks at her reflection. The water shows her face, the same curious eyes, the same long white hair, but her chest no longer matches the memory in her mind. It is not just bigger, it is glowing faintly, as if something under her skin is waking up and wanting more space to live. She dips her hands in the cold stream and splashes her face, and then she sees it, something float past her. A smooth silver circle like a coin, but it moves against the water, not with it, and it shines like the device she saw in the crash. Zarya steps back quickly. Her heart beats harder than before. She grabs a long stick and pokes the object, but it moves away on its own. It blinks blue and then vanishes under the surface, leaving ripples like whispers in the water. She runs back to her hut, her coconuts moving like small moons around her body. She feels watched again, even though there is no sound, no drone, no camera, but something is there above or below or inside. She does not know yet. She tries to eat a normal fruit from her old tree, but it tastes bitter and cold. Her mouth rejects it, and she throws it aside. Her stomach growls, but not for food, not for anything she can name. She touches her chest again and feels a tiny spark under her fingers, like a hum waiting to bursting. The human ship above Viona. The screen flickers again. The man in the black coat watches Zarya closely. His assistant speaks in low voice, telling him about the changes, about the energy signature, about the coconuts that seem to generate more than just embarrassment. They generate power unknown and new. The man nods slowly. He says this is no longer a mistake. This is a discovery. She is not just a subject, she is a key on the planet. Zarya lights a fire to chase her fear away, but even the flames dance strangely around her, as if drawn to her body. Her coconuts reflect the firelight with strange colors, and the shadows around her begin to twist in ways they never did before. She thinks about her people who left this forest long ago, about her mother who warned her never to trust the sky, about the stories of star curses and glowing sicknesses. And she wonders if she is becoming one of those stories, if she will end up as a name whispered at night to scare little alien children. The wind picks up, and she hears a voice, not a real one, but a memory. Rick, his name comes to her mind, a human she once met on a different moon. He had laughed when she asked about earth fruits. He had smiled when she made fun of his small nose. She had forgotten him. But now the memory returns like a dream she never finished. She looks at the stars and thinks maybe this is not an accident. Maybe someone chose her. Maybe someone planned this and now watches from above, waiting to see what happens. Next, the glow in her coconuts grows stronger and her skin tingles, and she feels like something inside her is waking up. Something old, something loud, something with wings made of light and hunger. Zarya holds her breath and steps out into the night, ready to find answers, ready to find whoever is behind the eyes in the sky, ready to stop hiding from the power blooming inside her, even if it means the whole universe finds out what happens when a simple alien girl eats the wrong fruit and becomes something more than anyone ever expected. The human response above the clouds of Viona. The human ship floats in silence, cold and wide like a sleeping beast. Its engines hum softly as its crew moves through steel corridors filled with white light and hidden whispers. Commander Rick stands before the main screen, his arms crossed, his eyes fixed on the girl with glowing coconuts on the monitor. He does not blink. He remembers her not just from the footage, Not just from the glowing chest, but from long ago on a small moon where he met. A young alien girl who laughed like the wind and smiled with her eyes. He had not known her name then, but now the computer says Zarya, and the memory clicks into place like a key turning in his head. The assistant speaks, her voice low and careful. She says the drone scan shows increased bioenergy levels rising every hour. She says the mutation is not just physical, it is cellular, emotional, maybe even dimensional. She says this is not an accident. This is evolution in the wrong direction, or maybe in a new one. Rick does not answer right away. He watches the way Zarya touches her chest, the way she hides, and then walks proud again, the way her coconuts glow like small stars trapped under skin. He sees fear, but he also sees strength. And something else, something no one in the ship wants to say out loud. Council calls in, their orders echo through the chamber. Bring her back if possible, study her if needed, silence her if necessary. Rick hears the words and feels ice move through his spine. He nods but does not agree, not yet. Leaves the command deck and walks to the lower bay where the scout ship waits, silver and sharp. Like a hunter ready to leap, he climbs inside and touches the controls. His fingers move fast, but his thoughts move slow. He thinks of Zarya, alone in the jungle, changing, afraid, glowing, and watch down on Fiona. Zarya walks through the forest again, her steps softer than before, her ears sharp for the sound of drones or footsteps or whispers. Her coconuts are larger now, not just in size, but in presence. They hum with low energy, and when she walks, the leaves around her lean as if pulled by invisible wind. She knows she is no longer just a girl. She feels it in her bones, in her breath, in the way animals stop and stare before running. She sees her reflection in a pool and barely knows the face looking back. Suddenly the air shakes. Something moves above her, not a drone, something bigger, something faster. It is Rick's ship cutting through the clouds. Like a blade of sound and metal, it lands near the crash site, steam hissing as the legs touch soil. Zarya hides behind a tree, her heart wild, her coconuts pulse like drums under her arms. She watches as the hatch opens, and a human steps out, tall, strong, wrapped in black armor, but she sees his face and remembers him. The same eyes, the same small smile, not cruel, not cold. Rick sees the broken pod, the glowing trees, the fruit still hanging like strange lanterns. And then he sees her, just a flash of white hair behind a tree, just a soft glow like moonlight through leaves. He raises his hands, empty, showing peace, not threat. Zarya steps out slowly, her eyes locked on his, her arms still crossed over her chest, but not to hide anymore, now to protect what she has become. Her coconuts shine gently, and Rick cannot help but notice, but he does not stare. He bows his head and says her name. She hears it, and for a moment her fear softens. Her voice comes out small but clear. She asks why he is here, why humans sent machines, why her body burns like the sun and hums like a storm. Rick tells her he does not know the full truth, but he wants to find it with her, not against her. Behind them the jungle moves, the wind speaks. The earth hums, something ancient has awakened, and both know time is short and questions are many. Rick says she is important, not just for science, not just for power, but for something else, something bigger. Zarya looks down at her coconuts and feels them warm, like a heartbeat, like a secret knocking to be let out. She nods once and walks toward him, not as a subject, not as prey, but as someone who is ready to learn why her body holds the light, why the fruit changed her, why the stars seem closer every day above them, in orbit. The council watches the video feed and does not speak. Their faces are cold, their decisions already made. Send backup, send weapons, send silence. But Rick has already made his own path, and Zarya has already begun hers. In the sky a new light forms. Not a drone, not a ship, something brighter, something waiting. And on the ground a girl with glowing coconuts and a human with an old memory take the first step toward something neither of them can name. Blushing signal. Zarya walks beside Rick, her steps careful, her eyes watching the trees, the sky, the shadows between every root. Her coconuts glow softer now, but their light still reaches through the leaves like sunlight trapped under her skin. Rick keeps a quiet distance. He says little, but his presence feels steady like a stone in a river, unmoved by the current. The jungle around them begins to change, the trees taller, the air warmer, the fruit brighter. She tells him this is the sacred zone, a place her people once feared, not because of monsters, but because of voices, voices that spoke without sound, voices that lived inside dreams. Rick listens closely. He marks the energy rising on his scanner, but says nothing aloud. Zarya stops and looks at her reflection in a pool again, her face now framed by tiny floating lights like stars that follow her without wings. Her coconuts pulse once, twice, and then shimmer. She blushes without meaning to, her whole body warming from her neck to her toes. She hides her face with her hand, but the glow only grows stronger. Rick turns away for a moment, giving her space, giving her dignity, even when the air smells like something ancient waking, even when his scanner starts to shake. With unreadable signals, he says her name gently, and she lowers her hand and nods a silent thank you wrapped in a heartbeat. They move again, deeper into the jungle. The animals no longer run. Instead, they watch, their heads tilted, their eyes wide, as if they see something she cannot, as if they recognize a new queen or a new threat. She walks taller now, not just with fear, but with a strange pride forming behind her ribs. At night they sit near a fallen crystal tree. Rick builds a fire, but the flames bend towards Zarya. Her coconuts glow brighter when she feels shy, when she laughs, when she hears something sweet. Her body speaks in light, and her blush becomes a signal, even when no words are said. Rick tells her the council has sent others, faster, stronger, colder. They will arrive soon, and they do not care about her choices, only her condition, only the power in her cells, only the energy in her glow. Zarya looks down and touches her chest, not in shame, but in wonder. What kind of power grows here? What kind of story does her body carry? She thinks of the old tribe, the elders who whispered of the starfruit curse, of girls who burned from the inside, who could never love or live or laugh again. She thinks maybe the curse was not punishment. Maybe it was a gift that no one knew how to hold. Maybe she will be the first to hold it with care. As the fire dies and the stars rise, Rick opens a small metal box. Inside is a soft cloth, folded around a necklace, old and simple, with a small glass bead glowing faintly. He says he found it on that moon where they first met. He saved it for no reason, and now it feels like it belongs here. He offers it without words, and Zarya accepts without fear. When she wears it, her coconuts react with a quiet hum. The bead glows the same color as her blush, and for a second, the jungle goes still, every leaf listening, every root waiting, as if the planet breathes with her, as if something is being unlocked, not with keys, but with feelings. In the distance, machines land, not loud, not hidden. They come like storms, wrapped in silence, sent by men with plans and weapons. They scan, they spread, they prepare. Rick senses them first, his eyes sharp, his voice low. They are close, and they are not here to talk. Zarya stands, the necklace warm against her skin, her coconuts brighter than ever, her blush now steady like a heartbeat, her voice calm like rain. She says she will not run. She says this forest is hers. Her body is hers. Her story is not theirs to write. Rick nods and steps beside her. He knows this is not science anymore. This is something older, something deeper, something sacred, wrapped in energy and blood and light. He holds his weapon, but his heart beats for something else, something he cannot name. Machines enter the edge of the trees, their lights sharp, their steps perfect. They pause when they see her, when they see the glow, when they feel the heat of her presence, when they sense the signal, not from her voice, but from her coconuts, from her blushing signal that says she is not afraid, that she is something new. The sky opens slightly, a ripple across the stars, a signal sent back to the council, a question rising like smoke. What have we created? What have we awakened? What does it mean when a girl blushes in the forest? Listens. Zarya breathes in, and the glow wraps around her like armor, soft and bright and alive. She takes a step forward, and the trees lean with her, the ground hums, and the machines pause, not sure if they should attack or bow. And somewhere in the soil beneath her feet, something smiles. The secret inside the glow. Zarya stands at the edge of the clearing, where the air feels thick like honey, where every breath feels heavy with meaning. Her Coconuts glow with soft rhythm like twin suns waking from sleep. Her feet dig into the soil, as if the planet calls her name through the roots, through the wind, through the silence between each sound. Rick watches her from one step behind, his eyes full of things he cannot say, his hands still holding his weapon, but his heart already letting go of old orders. The machines across from them do not move, not yet. Their scanners flash. Their heads tilt, their forms tense, but not ready to fire. Something in Zarya keeps them still, something they do not understand, something they fear. Maybe not in logic, but in memory, something older than war. Zarya raises her hands, not to fight, not to run, just to show she is not hiding anymore. The glow around her grows softer, not weaker, just kinder. It reaches the edge of the grass and wraps around the metal of the nearest drone, like fog, like warmth, like music that only machines can hear. And one by one, the lights on the drones flicker, not off, not red, not alert, just different, a color not found in any program, a soft blush like hers in the machines. Pause like children lost in a dream. Rick steps forward, his voice slow and low. He tells them to stand down. He says she is not the enemy. He says they are watching something they do not yet have words for, and the wind moves through the trees like an answer with no mouth. Far above in the orbiting ship, the council stares at screens that flicker with strange colors. Their scientists argue, their leaders shout, but no one can explain the pattern in her glow. No one can explain why the energy keeps rising but never explodes, why the forest seems to bend around her, why the machines forget their commands in her light. Back on the ground, Zarya closes her eyes and listens, not with her ears, but with her skin, with her blood, with whatever part of her is no longer just girl, no longer just alien. Something in her chest pulses deeper than before, not just light, not just energy, something hidden, something alive. She remembers the fruit, how it tasted, how it felt like a dream slipping between her fingers. She remembers the pain, the shame, the warmth. The way her coconuts grew with meaning she could not name, and now she understands. They are not symbols of mutation, they are signals, they are doors, and inside them something waits. Rick sees her fall to one knee, not in weakness, but in weight, as if something inside her is waking fully, as if her body is no longer enough to hold what is rising. He runs to her side, but she lifts her hand, not in fear, not in refusal, just in trust. She says it is beginning, and the sky above them ripples like water. The trees bend gently, their leaves glowing, their trunks humming, as if the forest sings in a language forgotten by stars. The ground beneath Zarya opens slightly, not with violence, not with destruction, but like a gift being unwrapped. Roots part and light flows up through the earth into her coconuts, into the center of her. She does not scream, she does not fall. She floats half an inch above the soil, her body wrapped in glow, her breath slow, her mind clear. She sees things not with her eyes, but with something deeper, a memory of stars, of beings made of thought, of gates hidden inside living cells, of powers buried inside fruit long abandoned. Rick watches in awe, his weapon forgotten, his orders fading. He sees Zarya become something else, not a soldier, not a threat, not a lab result. Just truth, just connection, just the answer to a question no one dared to ask. The drones begin to kneel, their lights blinking in rhythm with her coconuts. The grass around her grows longer, brighter. The forest accepts her. The sky listens, and from within the glow, a shape begins to form, not outside her, not behind her, but from her, a figure of light with wings of sound, with eyes of calm. Zarya opens her mouth, but no words come, only a soft hum. And the figure nods as if it hears everything she cannot say. It touches her chest gently, and for a moment, the light from her coconuts explodes outward, not in fire, not in chaos, but in peace, a signal sent across the stars, across time, across every heart that dares to feel. Rick shields his face from the brightness, but he does not move away. He stays near, he stays loyal, even when the air shifts, even when the figure fades, even when Zarya falls slowly back to the earth, her feet touching grass, her breath shallow but steady. She opens her eyes and smiles, not wide, just enough, just honest. She says she knows now, not everything, but enough to move forward, enough to choose. And Rick asks what she saw. And she says it was not what she saw, it was what she became, and somewhere, in her glow in her chest and the quiet fire of her coconuts, a door has opened, and nothing will be the same again. The explosion of trust. Zarya stands in the light of a new morning, her body quiet, but her heart louder than ever, her coconuts no longer just glowing, now breathing, now alive with something beyond her control, something ancient, something real. She looks at the trees, and they bow. She touches the ground, and it listens. She blinks, and the leaves shimmer in rhythm with her thoughts. Rick sits nearby, silent for the first time in years, not because he has nothing to say, but because he knows words are too small for what just happened. He watches the air around her bend and shift like a soft storm waiting for permission to become rain. He sees her coconuts pulse gently and feels a strange heat in the air, not dangerous, not cruel, just undeniable. The drones have powered down, but the ship above has not. The council waits, impatient and cold, their orders sharp and clear. Retrieve the subject or erase the evidence. Rick hears the words in his earpiece and removes it, tossing it into the grass like dead weight. His loyalty no longer belongs to machines or masters. His loyalty belongs to the truth glowing beside him. Zarya looks at him, her eyes full of quiet questions, not spoken, not loud, but heavy and sharp like wind, carrying the weight of a whole sky. She asks if he knew from the start, if this was all planned, if she was just a test. And Rick shakes his head, slow and careful, not out of fear, but out of respect. Tells her she was never the plan, she was never expected. She was a glitch in their perfect system, a fruit they thought spoiled. Now the seed of something greater. He says he stayed not because of duty, not because of science, but because when she glows the world feels right. Zarya listens, not with her ears, but with her bones, with the soft fire blooming behind her chest. Her coconuts hum louder as her emotions rise, not in anger, not in confusion, but in something deeper, something close to trust, and yet still too new to name. Wind shifts and the forest trembles, a new sound rising from the east, heavy and fast and sharp. The second wave has come, the council's elite, not drones, not scout soldiers, made of chrome and silence, weapons that erase and leave no name. Behind they land like wolves, made of lightning. They do not ask questions, they follow commands. Rick steps in front of Zarya, his hands raised, his voice steady. But they do not care for voices, they see only targets. They scan her coconuts, and the machines scream. Warning after warning, too much energy, too much growth, too much unknown. She must be stopped. She must be taken. Zarya closes her eyes, and the glow deepens. Her coconuts expand just slightly, like breath held too long. She feels the warmth inside, turn to fire, not wild, not cruel, but sharp and ready. She hears Rick yell for them to wait. But no one listens, not even the trees this time. The first shot is fired, a beam of sound that tears through branches, but never touches her. It curves mid-air, bending away like a bird losing direction. Her glow pushes back, not as a weapon, but as a wall. Her body shines, and her coconuts burst with light, brighter than before, pulsing with memory, with promise, with power. One of the soldiers steps closer, and the ground opens beneath him, vines wrapping his legs, pulling him down, not to crush, not to kill, just to stop, to ask, to understand. But he does not understand. He screams for backup, and they rush forward. Rick draws his weapon and fires, not at them, but above them, at the sky, at the command drone floating and watching the real eye behind the metal storm. He shoots once, and the lens breaks, and the air trembles, and for a moment silence returns. Zarya floats again, just an inch, her feet off the soil, her coconuts glowing like twin stars, mourning a forgotten world. Her body speaks in color and heat. In memory she sends a wave of feeling outward, not pain, not fear, but truth, and every machine that hears it pauses, every soldier that touches it stumbles as if reminded of something lost. Rick reaches for her hand, and she takes it without hesitation. The glow moves between them, a quiet bridge made of everything they did not say. They walk forward together, not to escape, but to face whatever comes, not as soldier and subject, but as something else, maybe as allies, maybe as friends, maybe as something more. The soldiers lower their weapons, not because they are told to, but because the light hurts. To fight because their minds fill with noise and questions and songs they never learned, because the glow from her coconuts now holds not just energy, but language, a message carved in warmth and light and longing above them. The ship shakes slightly, not from damage, but from doubt, and the council feels it too, a crack in their glass wall, a moment of fear, not of loss, but of change. And in that moment, Zarya feels the fire in her chest calm, slightly, not gone, but resting. She turns to Rick and says she believes him, and he smiles like someone who just found home, and somewhere deep in the earth, a heartbeat answers. Human for you. Zarya stands at the edge of what used to be fear, her feet on ground that no longer pushes her away, her coconuts warm with soft light, her chest calm but not empty, her eyes wide not with worry but with choice. Rick beside her, his armor cracked, his weapon gone, his hands open, not in surrender but in faith. The machines have stopped, not destroyed, not broken. Just quiet, just listening, as if the light from her coconuts rewrote something inside them, a new rule, a forgotten law, something about kindness, something about power without pain. The jungle watches too, the trees no longer hiding, the stars peeking through the clouds, as if wanting to see the ending of a story that once began with a bite of fruit and a flash of light. Above, a lonely girl, now seen, now heard, now changed. Rick pursed his voice, slow but sure. He says, they cannot go back. He says the council will not stop. He says she has a choice, to fight, to run, to rise, or to disappear. And Zarya listens, not just to his words but to the way they carry weight, like hands holding a flame without burning. She says she does not want to run. She says she is tired of hiding. She says her coconuts are not a problem to fix, not a weapon to use, not a shame to hide, but a message to share, a beginning, not an end. And Rick nods like someone learning a new language, one made of light and rhythm and trust. They walk through the jungle together, their steps slow but fearless. The plants lean toward them, the vines clear the path, and the animals follow, not out of fear, not out of need, but out of curiosity, as if knowing this moment matters, as if they too believe in something new. In the sky, the ship turns once slowly, its scanners broken, its orders fading. The council watches the data, confused by the silence, lost in the brightness, unsure if they are still in control, or if control ever mattered at all. Zarya and Rick reach the place where the crash began, the pod still buried, the earth still scarred, but the light here now soft, not angry, not wild. Her coconuts pulse like a heartbeat, steady and sure, and when she steps forward, the soil beneath her feet glows with quiet joy. She kneels and touches the old broken pod, her fingers brushing metal that once carried fear, now filled with memory, and she whispers a word in her own language, a word for beginning, a word for healing, and the pod answers, not with noise, not with motion, but with stillness perfect and deep. Rick watches and then removes the last piece of tech from his wrist, letting it fall like dust, like old skin. He says he is done with orders, done with silence, done with being part of something that never listened. Zarya smiles, not wide, not loud, just enough, just true. They stand together, and she reaches for his hand, and when he takes it, something changes again. The light grows, not brighter, but clearer. The pulse in her coconuts, steadier, the energy not leaving her, but growing around them, like a shield, like a song, like a future above them. The sky splits open, not in violence, but in vision. A soft path of stars lights the heavens, a signal received by others. Across space, across time, across every world that forgot how to feel something gentle, something strong. Rick looks at her and says he never believed in legends, never believed in chosen ones, but he believes in her now, not because of power, not because of glow, but because when she speaks, the world listens, and when she glows, he feels whole. Zarya answers with silence and light and the sound of her coconuts humming with peace, with pride, with purpose. She turns her head to the sky and thinks not about what she was, not about what they tried to make her, but about what she is becoming, something not human, not alien, something better. The machines left behind rise not to fight, but to follow, their lights soft, their forms slow, like children waking from long sleep. They wait for her, not to lead, not to rule, but to walk among them, and she does, with Rick beside her. one hand holding his one hand open to whatever comes next. The wind carries a sound from far away. Not a voice, not a warning, just a word, just a feeling human. For you and Zarya knows, it is not just her story now, it is his too, it is theirs. And maybe it always was. The forest blooms in color, never seen the stars blink like they understand, and her coconuts shine. One last time, not for power, not for defense, but for love, and somewhere across the stars the future begins again.